The man staples a missing poster to the telephone pole, his hands shaking. It's one of hundreds he's put up today, and to the untrained eye, it raises a frightening question. Why would someone be putting up a missing poster with his own face on it? The most important person in the world to this man has vanished without a trace. No phone call, no note, not a single shred of evidence, just gone. In due time, this man will find the person he's looking for, but in a way, he'll wish he hadn't. But to solve the mystery, first, we need to go back to the beginning. Despite being identical twins, the two brothers have always been as different can be. One has a talent for sports and athletics, the star of his Little League team as a child, and now an avid competitor in local marathons. The other prefers indoor activities like playing video games, reading, and drawing comics. One is an avid meat eater, and the other a vegetarian since the two went on a field trip to a farm at 10 years old. They may have the same face, but their personalities, the way they dress, and the distinct lion tattoo on the athletic twins' arm guarantee that no one could ever confuse them for one another. But their differences haven't stopped them from being close. Even after 25 years of being brothers, they still talk every day while enjoying the one thing they both can agree on: coffee. The two brothers are enjoying their weekly Saturday morning coffee at their favorite local coffee shop when the athletic brother asks the artistic brother if he's heard of the new fast food place in town. It's a burger joint, and apparently, they're giving away free meals as part of a promotion to celebrate their opening and bring in new customers. The athletic brother intends to take advantage of the deal later that day when he grabs lunch. The artistic brother isn't particularly interested, but asks his brother to let him know if the fries turn out to be any good. They finish their coffees, go their separate ways, and the artistic brother thinks nothing more of it. That is, until the next day rolls around and he hasn't heard from his brother since coffee. It isn't completely unheard of, but still enough to send up a small red flag in the man's head. He shoots his brother a text, lighthearted but still concerned. "Did the burger give you the runs or something? You okay?" Another day passes and still nothing. Now he's getting worried. He even calls his brother's girlfriend to check in, and his stomach drops when she admits that she hasn't seen him since Saturday. That does it. Something is wrong. He drives to his brother's house and sees that the driveway is empty. The lights are off. Nobody's home. He scrambles to come up with his next steps. The police aren't likely to take him seriously with no signs of foul play. From an outside perspective, it looks like his brother just decided to take a trip without telling anyone. But he wouldn't do that. He'd let his loved ones know first so that they wouldn't worry. The artistic twin feels his head spinning, his thoughts beginning to spiral toward the worst-case scenario. No, he can't let despair overtake him. He needs to keep a clear head. If only there was some way to track his missing twin. Wait, that's it. The two brothers had switched on location tracking on their phones several months prior, and they should still be sharing locations. If his brother still has his phone, then he'll be able to find out where he is. The app shows that his brother's phone is currently in a nearby town about 2 hours away. Better get moving, and fast. The sooner he can get to the bottom of this maybe missing persons case, the better. Maybe it'll all turn out to be a big misunderstanding and everything will be okay. He can only hope. But in spite of his hopes, when he arrives at the location where his brother's phone is supposedly waiting, there's no sign of him. He spots his brother's car abandoned on the side of the road, the door still unlocked. His phone is sitting on the driver's seat, left behind with the vehicle. His stomach turns as the dread washes over him. Leaving town unexpectedly is one thing, but his brother would never leave his car and his phone like this, not unless something terrible happened. The man scans his surroundings in a panic, searching for any clue as to where his brother might have gone. Nothing. There's nothing here but a fast food place. But wait, maybe someone inside saw something. One of the workers or the customers. It's a bit of a long shot, but it's better than nothing. He shoves open the door and rushes inside, where the employee at the counter greets him with a wide, somewhat vacant smile. He asks her if she's seen a man who looks just like him, but she shakes her head. She hasn't seen anyone except for their customers all day. Speaking of which, would he like to try a burger and drink for free? Special new promotion. The man declines, grimacing at the inhumanity of offering a fast food deal to someone clearly in so much distress. For a moment, he thinks he sees her smile falter, betraying a glint of cold, hard cruelty in her eyes beneath the veneer of friendliness. But just as soon as he sees it, it's gone, and the smile is locked back in place. This place is giving him the creeps. He'll use the restroom quickly, then get back out there and continue the search for his brother. Time is of the essence. In the bathroom, he splashes a bit of cold water on his face, letting the slight sting bring him back into his body as panic threatens to disassociate him from it. Gotta stay focused so he can keep looking. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he spots it. No, it can't be. But it is. There, on the wall of the bathroom stall, is a dead ringer for his brother's lion tattoo. It's faded, barely noticeable, but it's definitely there. He calls the police, but there's nothing they can do. After all, there's no way to definitively tie his missing brother to this fast food restaurant. A lion design and a free burger are hardly enough to build a case, but he knows deep down that they had something to do with it. And he isn't the only one. His case catches the attention of the SCP Foundation, and they began looking into the restaurant chain. They even assign it an official designation, SCP-2789. SCP-2789 is a fast food restaurant franchise by the name of Beefbelly Bill's. It serves lunch and breakfast, and each instance of SCP-2789 includes fully operational fryers, grills, soda, and ice cream machines. Whenever an instance of SCP-2789 first appears, it will integrate itself into nearby plumbing and electrical lines by extending pipes and wires that connect themselves to the nearest system. This is not the only strange thing that happens whenever a new Beefbelly Bill's opens, but you probably gathered that from context clues. When an instance appears, there will be at least 4 staff members inside. Though these staff appear to be human, they cannot be removed from the premises even by force and will refuse to leave even after the restaurant has closed for the day. When an instance of SCP-2789 is destroyed, the staff will dissolve into piles of tissue and bodily fluids. This may sound gruesome, but it is far from the most disturbing aspect of SCP-2789. The true horror of SCP-2789 revolves around the promotional deal that 30 random people in the proximity of the anomalous restaurant will be selected for each year. The process by which these individuals are chosen is still unknown, but each of them are offered a free burger with their choice of drink. It sounds a bit too good to be true, and that's because it is. After several missing persons cases were linked to Beefbelly Bills, specifically regarding the victims receiving this promotional deal, the Foundation assigned agents to monitor the activity at several of the restaurants. When an individual was selected for this deal, the agents would track their whereabouts and monitor their condition from a distance. The first few people offered the deal declined it, and nothing of note happened. But then, one individual, a middle-aged woman in Northern California, accepted. 5 hours after consuming her burger and soda, she left for home, got into her car, and drove to a city over an hour away. She seemingly had not planned on this trip ahead of time and was seized with a sudden, inexplicable urge to drive to the city. Foundation agents would later note that the city she drove to did not have a local Beefbelly Bills franchise. At the time, that didn't seem relevant, but the significance of this detail would soon become tragically clear. The agents watched as the woman exited her car and walked to the corner of a busy street. She suddenly clutched at her chest and collapsed to the ground as if from a heart attack. As for what happened next, well, it gets a bit complicated. None of the agents assigned to follow the woman could remember what they saw, nor did their recording equipment manage to capture any video or audio of the incident. Instead, their cameras only recorded static interspersed with images of the Beefbelly Bills logo. All the agents remembered was seeing the woman collapse, and then, as if it had suddenly appeared from nowhere, there was a new Beefbelly Bills where her body had fallen. Where did she go? Where did the restaurant come from? Why couldn't they, or any other civilians in the area, remember what had happened? That same day, analysis of the material taken from the site of a demolished Beefbelly Bills franchise came back from the lab, and a gruesome picture began to come together. Structural components taken from an instance of SCP-2789 found traces of bone marrow and spinal fluid, as well as human epidermis being used as insulation for electrical wires. They even found an enlarged human brain hidden in the walls of the restaurant. DNA testing of this material matched a man who had gone missing a few towns over from the place where the restaurant had appeared. DNA analysis of material taken from this new restaurant revealed that it was a match for the woman from California. With this new information, the Foundation research team was able to make enough educated guesses to put together an outline of the process by which SCP-2789 instances form. Once a person has consumed their free burger and become possessed by the urge to travel to a nearby city, they are given the designation SCP-2789-2. Upon reaching their destination, SCP-2789-2 will experience something like congestive heart failure. Then, their body will begin to rapidly increase in mass until it has reached a height and width of approximately 4 meters. At this point, now that they are large enough, the victim's tissues and bodily fluids will begin to transform into materials commonly found in SCP-2789, such as wiring, countertops, tables, and chairs. If there are any buildings in the way, they will be absorbed into the structure. Some of the buildings that SCP-2789 has been observed to bond with have included grocery stores, churches, gas stations, and libraries. The brains recovered from SCP-2789 instances still give off electrical impulses, indicating that the humans transformed into these restaurants may still be alive. How aware they are of their condition, if they are aware of anything at all, still remains to be seen. It is uncertain where the staff inside of the restaurants come from, though analysis of the organic material they leave behind upon destruction of the building always matches the DNA of the rest of the structure. Following the initial discovery of the anomaly, the SCP Foundation began tracking SCP-2789 activity. When a new instance popped up in Colorado, a researcher was dispatched to conduct interviews with the staff in order to shed more light on the nature of the anomaly. First, the researcher, whose name has been redacted from the file and who therefore I shall refer to as Researcher B, for Burger, spoke to an employee of the SCP-2789 instance. The employee issued the standard greeting at the sight of Researcher B. "Hi, welcome to Beefbelly Bill's. How may we help you today?" Researcher B responded with a request for information. When did the restaurant first get to the area? The employee smiled vacantly and said, "We officially opened for business yesterday, of course. Would you like to try our BLT burger? And for just $3.99, you can make it a combo." Researcher B declined and asked for clarification. The when was established, but how did the restaurant get there? And how did it pop up so quickly? The employee shook their head and shrugged. "I'm sorry." Their voice was chipper but a bit hollow, like a computer spitting out a pre-programmed line. "If you have questions about our company, you'll have to speak to the CEO. He's the life of the company. I hope he's able to help you. Here at Beefbelly Bill's, customer service is our top priority." The mention of a company CEO piqued Researcher B's interest. There had been reports of a mysterious older man at various SCP-2789 instances who claimed to be the CEO and founder of the company. Descriptions of the man varied, with only a few constants. The man always wore a suit and always had a large mustache. Perhaps there was some truth to these claims. "I don't suppose you'd be able to contact your CEO and ask him to come here, could you?" The cashier shook their head. "The CEO," they said, "comes and goes as he pleases. No one could tell him what to do, least of all a lowly cashier." As Researcher B was preparing to leave, the cashier called out to him. "Oh, I almost forgot to ask. We have a special offer today. Would you like a free burger with your choice of drink?" Researcher B had been looking into SCP-2789 long enough to know what that meant, and to know what would happen if he ate that burger. He refused the offer and prepared to exit the building. As he did, the cashier became distressed, face turning red, and shouted at Researcher B for being ungrateful for not accepting his gift. But who was he? Were they referring to Researcher B or to this legendary CEO and founder? They couldn't be certain, but Researcher B had his own personal suspicions. 30 minutes after the interview was conducted, Foundation operatives raided the SCP-2789 instance and evacuated all customers. The employees refused to leave, and when some operatives attempted to remove the employees by force, they vanished and reappeared in the restaurant's kitchen. With no other option, the Foundation proceeded with the demolition process, destroying the building, but not before grabbing the burger and drink previously offered to Researcher B for testing. After the building was destroyed, the food and drink samples were tested and found to contain traces of human blood, mucus, and bone marrow in both the sauce of the burger and the drink itself. Though they had not gotten much information on the nature of SCP-2789, the Foundation had learned something. Whoever the mysterious old man designated SCP-2789-1 was, the staff answered to him. He could be in charge of the whole operation, if he truly was the founder. Agent R stands for Redacted, just a bit of Foundation humor, traveled to an SCP-2789 instance in Washington to attempt an interview with the founder, perhaps the famous Beefbelly Bill himself. Agent R found the mustached man sitting at a table inside the establishment, drinking a milkshake. When asked for an interview, he agreed. Agent R asked the man to detail his involvement with the anomaly. He responded, "I'm the CEO of this fine company. Beautiful, isn't it?" Agent R couldn't quite bring himself to agree. He replied, not a fan of the way the restaurant franchises were being constructed. You know, sacrificing innocent human lives and warping their bodies into organically derived fast food restaurants. The founder laughed at this and said, "Well, I'm afraid to have a successful business in this day and age, you'll have to make sacrifices." "I expected someone from your foundation to know that." Agent R made sure to keep his face stoic, but privately, he was shocked. How did this man know about the foundation? More importantly, what did he know about it? He deflected the comment, keeping the focus on Beefbelly Bills. The founder went along with it. "Oh, of course. Here I was sitting in my office one fine day and I thought, what if I could increase the number of restaurants in my business at no cost and increase production also at no cost? Sure, there are some morally or ethically questionable things." Here, Agent R interjected, raising his voice. "The deaths of hundreds just to increase production?" The founder cleared his throat loudly to cover the sound of Agent R's voice, then continued speaking, chest puffed out with pride. "But ultimately, it's all worth it to increase my business. Every person who accepts my gift is a hero, a sacrificial lamb to further something far greater than themselves. It's not like the old days where someone would offer you a human sacrifice to help you along. No, the world has changed, and I've adapted along with it. After all, I am the life of the company." These words, Agent R had heard them before. He spoke up. "Your employees say the same thing, word for word. What exactly does that mean?" Rather than answer the question, the founder finished his milkshake, loudly sucking ice cream, if it really was ice cream, through the plastic straw. When he was finished, he gave Agent R a wink and simply said, "That's a company secret." Then he stood up, tossed his empty cup into a trash can, and excused himself to go to the restroom. As soon as he was alone, Agent R called for MTF Unit Chi-17 to come and detain SCP-2789-1. However, when the unit arrived on the scene, the founder was nowhere to be, found. The instance of SCP-2789 was promptly destroyed, and the location and containment of SCP-2789 was made a top priority. They couldn't be sure why he knew about the Foundation, but they needed to find out as soon as possible, and by any means necessary. Any instances of SCP-2789 that are discovered must immediately be destroyed in order to prevent them from spreading. The aforementioned MTF Chi-17, cross-country, is assigned to locating instances as soon as they pop up. They accomplish this by monitoring social media and other available mediums and searching for any signs of SCP-2789. At this moment, the Foundation has still not been able to contain SCP-2789-1, but members of MTF Chi-17 have been advised to attempt to contain him whenever the opportunity arises. A standard humanoid holding cell has been prepared for the occasion, though I have my doubts about its ability to hold this mysterious fast food mogul. I don't mean to cast aspersions on the research team and their choices, but everything I have observed about this man indicates that he does not abide by the laws of nature, nor should he be assumed to be the ordinary man that he appears to be. When reading the interview with SCP-2789-1, I was struck by the man's mention of human sacrifice. He referred to it as a commonplace practice in the old days, something that has gone out of style with time and forced him to adapt to the new way of doing things. While it is obvious to anyone paying attention that this man is no ordinary fast food mogul, I have been developing my own personal theory regarding his true nature. He is an elder god of sorts, to borrow the language of cosmic horror, an ancient, powerful being that requires human sacrifice, in one form or another. Once, they were offered to him. Now he hunts them with an offering of a free meal, transforming their bodies into tools to spread his influence across the nation, and perhaps the world. I don't know where Beefbelly Bill, as I've taken to calling him, came from, nor do I know what his grand design is, if he has one beyond endless continuous growth at the expense of countless human lives. I only know that he cannot be allowed to continue unchecked. Somehow he must be stopped. In the meantime, we would all do well to remember the old saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Check out the DrBob Patreon and become a junior researcher today. Now go and watch another entry from the files of DrBob, like SCP-1352, Sentient Dust Devil.